All right. You guys should be able to see my desk now. Sorry about that. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe it's a delay. I have no idea. But you guys are here with me now. All right. Welcome to Spirit Week. Can't remember what day this is. I think 4. Yeah, day 4. It's our typical candlelight craft-a-log. I'm going to go ahead and light my little candle I got here. I was going to use that crazy Tree of the Dead candelabra, but that that thing creates quite an inferno because there's like 12 candles on it. All right. Visuals are good. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and see if I can get, there we go. Awesome. All right, I have my iPad as kind of like a teleprompter so I can see your guys' comments because my laptop is off to the side here. Be craning my neck around. All right, so like I said, welcome to Spirit Week Candlelight Craft-A-Log. We're doing Mothman messages from Mothman. And we're back. We had a year off. Thank you guys for coming back. I got a lot of things planned, a lot of things in store for us. Just some quick administrative type things. The website is up and running, and if you're so inclined, get switched over onto there. The interaction is much better than what you'll get on Patreon as far as interacting with each other and just being able to generally navigate things without I'm only allowed to have one pinned post on Patreon. So when you have other things like links to submit guild points or craft points, or you're looking for information on where to fill out forms and all that stuff, it's really hard to navigate. So the website's up and running. Get yourself signed up on there. I promise it's a smoother ride over there. A couple other things. I don't know if the general public here of Slightly Sinister has seen these yet, but we do have the guild patches. Hiss and Scratch won their guild patches, and then that meant that I had to make all of the other guilds. So they are available for your guys' cardigans on the website. So Hiss and Scratch got theirs for free because they were guild champions. And what's going to happen going forward is the guild champions of next year, you're going to basically receive a 100% off coupon, if you will, for the website. So you can spend that discount on any item that you want, because there's also messenger bags that are specific to each of the guilds. I'm not sure if I showed the Academy folks, but I know that the Secret Society people have seen them. And Hiss and Scratch, they received their messenger bags. So when the guild champions win, they basically get to pick an item that they want me to create, and I'll create that. They get it for free, and then everyone else has it available for purchase if you wish. So the patches are up, and the messenger bags are up there as well, if you guys are inclined to do that. But cardigan patches, a lot of chest flare here. If we've got anyone here that is not currently a member or is thinking about becoming one, slightlysinister.org is the place to go. We have a lot of wonderful folks here, a lot of veterans of Slightly Sinister. So if you have any questions while we're crafting, feel free to ask. I'm sure they'll answer your questions if I don't catch it right away. All right, so I don't know how many of you guys have done Linocut, and lino is just short for linoleum. We got a piece of linoleum here because my goal today is to make stationery. So when you can print it out on a printer, your stationery design, but there's just something a little special and unique about doing it as a print. Each print is a little different. There's little, not really mistakes, but different marks and things. So each page is unique, and it's a bit old-timey. So we're gonna do some Linocut today. I made a very rushed concept for mine, but I think it'll turn out well. It's kind of just suggestive of foliage and some spooky death omen type things to go with the Mothman vibe. And oh, Nick wrote in the comments, you're switching over on Friday. Awesome. Very good. You're going to love the site. And also, I'm just going to show you guys a quick project that I recently did for the Secret Society. They just randomly received this in the mail as one of their wild cards with no explanation. They did have a hint at their haunted brunch. I always throw some kind of weird little cryptic message out there that's literally encrypted, and they have their decoder that they use to do it. So this is what I called Ichabod's Illusion. This is from the movie Sleepy Hollow. I created a replica of it, and I did it with Linocut. It's a bit harder to spin it with gloves on, but as you can see, it's an illusion. It looks like the bird is in the cage, like from the movie. This is a layered Linocut, so I did the red first, and then I laid the black line work down on top of it, and then I did the cage afterward on the other side. Obviously, you gotta let it dry. And this was kind of difficult, more than I thought it was going to be, because this is a circular thing that I printed it onto, so it was really hard to layer it correctly. So I just wanted to show you guys really quickly, and I'm going to do a full rundown of this for the Academy people, so you'll have supply list, graphics, and all that jazz, so you guys can make your own if you want. But the Secret Society folks did get it for free, and just randomly. And it came in a nice little packaged tin from Van Garrett Farms. So here is essentially my Linocut blocks. You can get them in sheets, little flat sheets. You can get your Linocut pre-mounted on a block. Getting it pre-mounted on a block is, it's good for, you know, if you're doing like stamping type things. It does make it a little harder because you have to build up your sides for the purposes of laying your print down. If you don't have to do anything precise, then yeah, you could pick any way. There's also the linoleum that's kind of more like a rubber stamp. That stuff's really easy on your tools, and it carves up pretty quickly. So that's the other type of lino that you'll probably see in the common craft stores. So to get these to line up, you'll see these little pegs that I created. In the graphic, there is dots that are on both these graphics, and they line up, and I nailed these, I think they were thumbtacks, like heavy duty thumbtacks, and I just chopped the top off of the thumbtack. And then when I went to do the red, I basically lined up the little peg post. I put it in there, and then put a little dot, punched it through, and then I laid it down. Took your little maul tool. I actually ended up using like a bottle cap because it was a little smaller to get it on there. And then it would have left it on the other side. And then when you go to move it to the other, as you'll see, the pegs line up. So that's how I got it to eventually line up. It did take a lot of trial and error. And then once they were dry, I flipped it over and did the back side. And I'll show you the back side in here just a minute. There we go. Ripped my glove. That was going to be annoying. All right. So then here's that last block. I lined up the top pegs, and then the second little peg, put an indent in it, and then I just punched a little hole right where those are, and that lined up everything perfectly. So yeah, that one was I think a little more difficult than I wanted it to be, but what of my projects isn't that way? It's just kind of the way things are for me. Okay, so let's get this thing kicked off. first, and this is my least favorite transfer method for images. And if you guys looked in the Linocut Printmaking, the craft alerts that I put out, I try and give you guys at least 3 weeks notice to get some supplies in, because I know craft stores are a bit skimpy these days. I feel like they've turned more into decor type stores and they don't have very many craft items. But a couple of the things I had outlined in that post was transfer methods. My favorite transfer method is the laser printer on sticker release paper, and then you lay a layer of acrylic matte on here, gel matte, and then you lay your print down, and then once it dries, your image is transferred on, and it's so much easier. And I do a lot of digital drawing and things like that, so it just transfers really nicely. It will sometimes be a little spotty depending on how well you smashed everything down, but it is the most accurate in my opinion. Then there was, just a straight draw on it with a Sharpie marker. That's a totally valid method. And graphite paper is so messy, super messy. You'll get thumbprints everywhere, so be careful. But that is the way I'm going to do it now. All right, so we have my image. So what you're going to need for the transfer method with graphite paper is your image. I'm making Mothman stationery. And then you got your graphite paper. You're going to put it graphite side down. Just sandwich it in there. And be careful with touching that graphite side. Like I said, it gets everywhere. Make sure it covers. I cut mine to be a little closer to size. And then you're going to lay your image down on top. And I am going to secure my image with some masking tape. Let me turn this over, and I'll just put that at the top here. You don't want that sliding around. Your image will look a little wonky. Graphite. Okay. I tried to make a really high contrast, kind of simple details that are alluding to vegetation and stuff, because we got 3 hours max is what I'm going. We've done some crafting marathons in the past, and man, I was left pretty ragged after that. What we do for our crafts. Okay, just gonna get one corner down, that way it's not moving. Here we go. And if you've touched your lino, the oil from your fingers will stick to your fingerprints. So, all right, here we go. Now I am set up. Get this extra piece out of the way. Uh-oh. Autofocus, are you working? Was it blurry for the longest time? Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen. Hopefully it wasn't. Oh, okay. All right. So now you're going to take like a stylus. I'm using this weeding tool because it's got a pretty precise point, and you're going to want to apply a good amount of pressure. And a pencil is a good thing to use for this as well. It's just all of my pencils kept ripping through the paper, so and then verify that it is in fact switching over, and you guys can see that it is. And if you guys haven't done this already, you probably already do, but like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. I finally hit over 50 people. I'm at like 70 something. So that's enabling me to go live from my phone for the winter walk. So we're good there. I'm actually going to, I think I am going to get a pencil because the lighting is a little darker so I can't see my lines. I will be right back. Pick a red one. Got some of my kids' colored pencils. All right, here we go. Crafting by candlelight has its disadvantages. Good for ambience, bad for the eyes. I've got a close-up here. You guys can watch me what I'm doing. So I'm going to color in everything that I'm going to be carving, except for that big middle section. I'm not about to do that. And if you're designing your own graphics, I suggest starting with a black, like a black canvas, and then erasing away what you want. Because doing a lot of fine detail work and carving that away is probably not the most beginner-friendly type of project, but you can absolutely do that. thumb needs some freedom. And did I already say I was gonna give you guys the graphic? It'll be in the Academy Vault. The sad thing is, this is, I went out, I was like, you know what, I only have 3 hours, so, I should bust down the details. So, to answer your question, it is probably a little more detailed for just a little quick project. You can always skip detail too, so keep that in mind. I'm just trying to make sure I get the big parts down, and then and I think trivia night went by pretty good. Congratulations to Like and Hold. You guys are in first place this year so far. The other downside to doing this transfer method is I feel like my hand always hurts after. Yeah, Wendy, you're a beast. Like literally, Like and Hold. Ow. Esme was so sad to hear that Hiss and Scratch was not dominating everything all the time. But I think Linocut is a very user-friendly craft to get into. And I mean, it's an old-timey printing method, so why not? The world goes dark, you could still get your portents of doom out there. If you guys look at the Spirit Week comic book, that's what Mothman's doing. He's getting his posters out there. Trying to warn people about the bridge. So definitely start with the big outside shapes. Hopefully this has been, and check your transfer. See? And always keep your image available for reference. Yeah, you guys have Discord going on. There's a public chat and then the regular cornfield where we all are all the time. But you guys could also be talking to each other in the voice chats too. I know sometimes it's probably annoying to sit here and listen to me talk and then I ask a question and then you're like having to put your stuff down and type something. As long as you don't mind me rambling. I honestly was yesterday, I was trying to get all my streaming stuff together, and of course we still had a streaming problem, but I had completely forgot to do my graphic. And freehanding stuff when you're live is a nerve-wracking thing. I have serious imposter syndrome. So that wouldn't have ever been a good thing. I would have hated everything I was drawing. And you guys would have just sat and watched me draw for 3 hours. A Christmas feel. Oh, and I thought I had the chat. I had tried doing a chat window inside the crafting thing. Here, let me switch to the wide angle and see if it's working there. No. I tried because you guys had made the comment that it literally is me just rambling. And you guys don't have context for whatever I'm saying, so if someone asks a question, we don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So I am going to try and do some stream overlays. But that's like last on my list. Just making sure everything with the website goes off without any problems. Which I think it's been pretty successful as I am building this thing, and this is my first website I've ever built. I'm learning stuff, and I'll go back and change other things because there's a better way to do it, or it's more efficient looking for you guys. But there's a ton of content. I guess I underestimated how much stuff I do. I mean, we have like 60 plus videos, and that's not even including the random other posts. But yeah, craft-alongs are going to be open to the public, so please invite your friends and family if you're ever going to attend one. I feel like we need to bring back the whole craft circle thing. Everyone needs to get together, build some community. Community is very important these days. Getting there. Just got this other corner over here, and then I'll be starting to carve. So on mine, everything that is white is getting carved away. You might do yours where everything that's black is getting carved away. A lot of these little frilly details I'll probably end up freehanding. Almost there. One of my first designs that I did for this was like it looked like a realistic kind of multi-level forest, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? So I nixed that project. All right, let's see what we got. I think that's good enough. Get started. So a lot of people will stain the top of the linoleum so you can see your cuts better. I'm going to do a little test on this because I've actually never done the graphite transfer method and then stained it. So I would hate for all that work I just did to just go away. So I just got a little bit of water here. Yeah, it's not too bad. All right. We have to keep our fingers crossed. I'm going to stain mine with red so there's enough contrast here. So I'm just going to mix up some acrylic paint. You can use India ink, which is oops, I just spilled water. Let me go back to the wide angle. Just a second, I just dropped some water all over everything. This is just acrylic paint that I'm gonna dilute, spread it over, and then I'll give it a second to Nick says he's going to do a silhouette of the anglerfish that was floating to the surface. Oh yeah, I saw that in the news. Need some more paint. You don't want it to be too runny. I've got some paper towels here. I need to get those. I'm not going to rub too hard because I don't want it to undo all of my work. Acrylic is kind of nice to use instead of India ink if you're in a hurry because it dries a lot faster than India ink. I would leave it for at least 24 hours, but it does get a nice stain and it does dry. Sometimes with the water-based stuff, your hand can reactivate the paint and it just kind of rubs off on everything. But this is, in case I didn't explain this already, this is to give you some contrast. So when you cut into the linoleum, you can see where you've made your cuts. Soak up a little bit of this extra moisture. It's a little runnier than I want. A little on the runny side. It's going to take forever to dry, so let me sponge some of this up. Might have to make a second pass with the graphite, or you know, it probably would have been a good idea to stain it maybe beforehand. I didn't know if that would make it. All right, I'm gonna let that dry for just a minute. found these awesome silicone mats so my wooden tables don't get messed up, and they exactly match like the color of my wooden table, which all your like craft protective supplies and stuff, they're always like super bright colors or Alright, so I'm gonna let that dry. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Sitting around waiting for paint to dry. I usually like using pre-mounted blocks because they're a little easier to grab. But I found this linoleum at a good price, so yeah, I would say if you're going to be staining your block, do the graphite after. Maybe. That's the other thing about the transfer method, using the matte gel. You can stain on top of it, no problem. Got a hair dryer here. We'll make this go a little faster. Find a plug. All right, I'm gonna dry this a little faster. See, the corners are already drying up, but let's make this go a little faster. There we are. Sorry for the noise. There we go. All right, let me get this back. Okay, here we go. Now time to start carving. All right, and just pick the most excited part. I'll probably start carving away this skeleton thing down at the bottom. All right. So these are your basic tools that you can get. I got one of my dog hairs in there. Prince of Darkness. He is sick. He's got some kind of dog cough. Sometimes you gotta wiggle this thing to get it free. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm using just the V-gouge. Put this so they don't roll around. And this is the part where I usually have this thing like 2 inches from my face. So the V-gouges will give you your sharpest line. So that's what I would use up against your actual line work. But as you can see, staining the block makes it a lot easier because the linoleum is pretty light colored. Let me center this for you. Oh, Tammy said you had found a spiderweb silicone baking mat to use under your crafts. Do share the link somewhere. Tammy says, I wish you could. Found it at Home Goods several years back. Oh, well, I guess that ship has sailed. I have always dreamed, maybe one day in the future, when this thing is massive, Slightly Sinister, that is, we will just create our own line of spooky craft supplies. Like legitimate craft supplies. And just some pointers when you're cutting. If you're wanting to something to go out to a taper, I suggest starting at the tapered part and then pushing inward. I'm going to keep this tip, but almost done here. And you want to make sure that you're smoothing out like things that you're not having too much of a topographic map here in your smooth areas, because you might end up hitting that with a brayer, your ink brayer, and then it would coat it with some ink and then risk getting it on your print. So if you do feel like you've got a lot of valleys going on, kind of smooth them out a little bit, but you don't need to go all the way down to the bottom of your linoleum. As long as you're not oversaturating your brayer, it shouldn't go into those grooves too much. Sorry if the constant motion is giving anyone seasickness, let me know. Wendy said, timely tip. I try. When you're always crafting alone, you always just go at it and don't worry about things. I'm gonna do a wide angle here, so hopefully you guys won't get too sick watching me do this. But what do you guys think? Does it feel good to have Slightly Sinister back? I feel like I've missed it. Even though it's a lot of work, it's worth it, I think. I just gotta get our name out there, I guess. Oh, good. I'm glad, Tammy. You know what one of my favorite things for Slightly Sinister is? The trick or treat. I missed that this last year. I have the wheel sitting here in my closet. I definitely missed doing that. Sorry, let me take a look here. Yeah, Wendy, you brought a friend. That's always good. She ended up in Flittermouse, though. I don't know if you... You're like, oh, you traitor. I always worry about that. I'm like, oh, if people get their family members in, because like I don't pad the numbers to make it even. Whatever you get sorted into is whatever you get sorted into. I'm always nervous that someone's going to be like, oh, man. Dang it, I'm a hiss and scratch. But it's kind of worked out, I think. Oh, whoops. Guess I went out of frame there. Ah, hit the camera. I was a bit nervous because I haven't crafted on camera in a long time, and you just always forget how crazy it is to have the wires running all around camera right next to my leg and that stuff like that. Okay, skull is almost done. will say my wood carving tools I prefer. I did not feel like sharpening them though. I'm not keen on that. It's an annoying process in my opinion. And I have not sharpened them since the flower press video was created, which will be coming out, I think it's next month maybe. So this entire middle section is going away for me. And I'll be using a larger gouge for that. Always nice when you get a good curl going. I'm having issues with this particular tool. I might switch out. Where we are so far. The Speedy Carve, is that a Speedball product? I think that's the pink stuff, right? You can always draw directly on it with a marker or something. Tammy with a Y said the graphite won't transfer over to the speedy carve. Oh, you did the glue transfer, and did you rub the glue away? That situation. It's another method. I think I talked about that one too. I gave a link for that. I want to make the other line a little thicker. Okay. Let's work a little bit more down here. Sometimes I keep hitting a little spot in there that's a little And just a reminder, we have movie night tomorrow. Just another pretty calm. We're gonna watch Tremors. I've never seen it, so sorry if you've seen it and you hate it. That was a good curl. Yeah. So much of my design had gotten kind of diluted when I stained the block. So I'm just kind of freehanding it, but it'll turn out. That's the cool thing about Linocut. Everything, even if it's a big mistake or whatever the case might be, it still, in my opinion, looks cool. get this line up here. Line that up one. I didn't transfer that one over very well. All right, let's see what we got so far. My camera will focus. Weird. Let me see what that's about. Oh, there it goes. I think my camera like fell asleep maybe. All right, this is gonna be pretty cool, I think. Let's get back in here. We got 11 people in here right now. What? That's like the biggest craft-a-long turnout on an opening night ever. Do we have any folks that are watching that we don't know? Is there a way to find that out? If you are watching and you don't know what is going on, there are a lot of people in the chat who would love to tell you. Oh, and another thing. So I got the badges done. Some of you guys might already notice that when you got on the website and logged in your profile and you saw a bunch of badges. Anyone who was part of Slightly Sinister prior to the relaunch that we just did, the beginning of the month, you guys get the original Ghoul badge. And there will eventually become some situations with that. Some cool stuff. Extra loyalty points, which is another cool part about the website that I'm super excited about. If you guys RSVP to events and you go into your My Rewards section on the website, you will now see reward points. And once you reach a certain amount, I think the current one that I got up there is called Ride or Die, because that's what you guys are. You're my Ride or Dies. As you start collecting those points, once you get to 100, you can spend them on 100% off on one of your months of the plan. So that's cool. I can do that now. All right, someone has a question. Let me look at that. Fable Journals, who is, I believe, Meow Me, asks, if I manage to make your design, will I be able to use it? Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing about me that I'd have to say is something that I think a lot of creators don't do is, if I give you guys something, I don't care if you use it to make money with. I mean, totally fine with that. Yeah, if I provide you guys with a template or a design or a pattern, you're totally able to use that however you wish. I think it's a bit crazy that people would make a designer template and then be like, by the way, it's personal use only. It's like you literally have no control over that once you give the file out. And I am too tired to take people to court, so once it's out of my hands, it is what it is. Oh, no problem. You're amazing. My goal is also, I'm going to be filling the vault. Like, I haven't done that. I put kind of transferring over the current content that we have above everything right now. But once I get the vault up and going, it's going to be filled with all kinds of stuff that I maybe not ended up not using and things of that nature. So you guys will have a lot of resources. I'm also trying to, and I told the Secret Society people this, I'm trying to transition away from products that are, I guess, infinitely subscribe type thing. So Adobe, honestly, I was trained on Adobe in college, and that's just what I'm comfortable with. But they've become very impractical, I think, for the average person to use, and it's behind a pretty steep paywall, and their products cannot compete actually with some other things that are out there like DaVinci Resolve for editing and stuff like that. So I feel like they're overcharging for what I would consider a very clunky product. So I'm trying to get templates and stuff done using those programs that are free or one-time purchase and they're good forever. Like DaVinci Resolve is free. If you guys need a good editing software, it is the premier film, and basically all your Marvel movies are made on it. Just, it's such a good program. And I edited my first video on it. It was just a short little, the spinner video. I edited it using DaVinci Resolve, and I was impressed because when I was editing it on what was that? When I was editing it on Premiere, it was just such a short little video, but it was still just freezing and locking up, and I don't know. Adobe better do something or they're gonna lose a lot of folks. So if I'm doing it on these accessible programs, and you guys will have templates and stuff that aren't behind paywall programs. I don't know if I went off on a tangent there or whatever. And back to that whole thing with just trying to help you guys. This is hard. Being a creative person in this world is incredibly hard. Everything is insanely expensive and it's hard to reach your audience, and I hate that. So I'm doing everything I can to hopefully get you guys more exposure or whatever the case might be. I'm obviously not great at social media, so that's where I fail. But eventually, I feel like if we keep at it long enough, we'll get somewhere. And then you guys will be able to kind of use this platform as an alternative to things like social media, which drive me a bit bonkers, especially right now. I hate going on it. Everything is made to make you doom scroll, and I can't do it anymore. So I did get rid of the Slightly Sinister Instagram page, which probably was the worst time for me to do it, but I can't do it anymore. Call me an activist. I just really care about where my time and patience is going. Because patience I do not have in excess. We got 12 people watching. What? Welcome, whoever you are. We have like a lot of free followers on the Patreon site, so I'm hoping that by having the craft-alongs are now open to public every month instead of just periodically for events. I feel like we all really need to come together and do some cool stuff. So hopefully we'll get some more people from in there. But if you're here and you're not a normal Slightly Sinister person, go ahead and give the channel a follow, because every month we're gonna have a craft along. And I don't know if I published them all up. I think I went back and I unpublished them, so you won't see the whole list all up front, because it was a lot. So, but I did schedule them. I scheduled everything out through December. If you go to the website, you'll get notifications if you sign up for the notifications. Oops, I'm out of screen here. So I think this is looking pretty cool so far. Staining the block seriously really helps, so you can see what your finished product is going to look like. And just to ask, Meowmy, you were talking about this one, this image here. Is that what you're wanting? So I can get that to you guys today or tomorrow. Okay, very good. I am thirsty. I should have gotten some water. I never do that. I always forget to give myself some water. I can't remember what craft-a-log it was, but I was just dying of heat stroke. Was it the Candyman themed witch hat? I feel like that was probably it. I thought I was gonna pass out. In that one. This attic has no heat control, so it's not bad right now, even though it's cold outside. Rule number 1 of craft-a-logs: don't fall out. Oops, this little slip. Right, I'm gonna switch real quick to the V channel. All right, the wider. Oops, that's not it. Here we go. And this is what you want to use for those wide areas. Does a nice chunka. I always have to resist the urge to jump around on stuff. I'm so bad at that. But it's my favorite tool, is the part where you get to like clean up. I think we've been on this train ride song for hours. How many of you guys have actually taken a train ride of late? It has been a lifelong dream to take the Orient Express, but it's like, I don't know, pretty expensive, I think. Rid of this part here. And it is 8 o'clock. I said I was going to be going till 9, so I'll try and get as much as done as possible. I can always do a print and show you guys how to do that and then finish on my own time, but you guys will see how to do a print as well, or at least get some pointers and tricks and tips on that. Beth said I had to nix the hearts, but I think my tree turner for a good first try. A tree turner. Have I seen this? All right. Shaping up, shaping up. Get a couple more of these items cleared out of here, and then I'm going to start working on the random foliage. Get the other wing and then move on. See here. I think making it perfectly symmetrical has gone out the window. Who wants symmetry, huh? It's kind of boring, right? So I've got my background in, 3D modeling and film and animation and stuff. And it's kind of interesting, and this is on the topic of symmetry. When we do models, you basically have to go in because they're created symmetrically, and then you had to go back in and make them unsymmetrical because things just don't look right if they're too symmetrical. They don't have character. So don't ever be afraid to have something be unsymmetrical. Tammy Wood says hers has plenty of character. Hey, I think that's what we all like about children's drawings is they're just doing it, They're not freaking out about the details, like how many fingers are on a hand or whatever that is. But my daughter is awesome at drawing. I keep every little scratch, doodle, you name it. And this thing here looks a little too much. Let's just get rid of it. Let's just get rid of it. Why not? All right. I think that the hardest part is done. Probably, I guess. I'm going to go around the outside and kind of make my little weird doodly shapes. That would look pretty cool as is. I mean, minus the interior needing to be taken out. Maybe I'll... Nah, I'll wait for that. Thank you, appreciate it. Mm-hmm. There we go. Couldn't get my tool going. All right, so this is the part where my stuff got kind of taken away. Oh, good night, Beth. Have a good day, or night, or sleep, or whatever it is you're doing. Now you know what I can do? Where's my reference image? Ugh. Time to break that out. And I'm just kind of making some noodly shapes. You can still see a faint outline. Does anyone have any good recommendations for movies or shows? You got to get that running list going on the website. Tammy says she finally watched Abigail and enjoyed it. That's the robot girl, right? Dead Boy Detectives. I tried watching that one, and then I got distracted. I also have to be careful of what I watch because I had an incident where I was watching the new Beetlejuice, and Esme had come upstairs and he was making one of his faces, and yeah, now she won't stop talking about it. She was like, "How dare you be watching things like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I won't." I had never seen her face look so terrified, though. It was when he was talking to the detective, and he's like, "Have you seen this woman?" And he's like, "No." But then his eyeballs pop out of his head. She came in right when that happened, and she was like, "Oh my god!" Have been watching the X-Files, though, when I get to work remotely. I'm a big Mulder and Scully fan. Oh yeah, book club, definitely reading that. It's just a matter of having time to get it done. But yes, to answer your question, I am reading the book for book club. All right, how are we doing on time? It's 8:30. All right. I'm gonna doodle a little more on this, and then show you guys how to do the next step. And that's always going to be my goal, to at least be able to show the full process. So I'll have either part of the process already done because it's something I've done before, like the illusion spinners. And once you get the outline done on things, I think that's when the real fun part begins, because you get to start picking away at the dark stuff, or what should be your dark sections. Turn that into a little curly Q. need a good vacuuming up of my workspace when we're done here. All right. Let's zoom out here. All right, this is where we are. I think it'd probably take me maybe another hour, because once I get the outline done, it's just mostly picking out little spots. Like for instance, there's a floral section up here in the corner, and that's just literally me going in here and just picking that out. And then the florals just kind of take shape from there. Oh no, I spilt the paint. Yikes. Give me 1 second. I was like, what was that? Party foul. Like blood. And it's on my pressing tool, which is probably one of the worst things to get it on, because you obviously don't want to rub that all over a print. All right, crisis averted. No electronics were harmed. Switch here to the big couch. What are some bigger areas? These little pumpkin shapes. You don't think you'd like using the hard carving blocks? Oh yeah, the pink ones, those are like the light pink ones, those are super friendly on wrists and carpal tunnels. The only drawback is that they are very flexible, so if you have like a repetitive print that you're going to be doing, it can create some varied results, but if you don't care about that, then heck yeah, go for it. And they're also really good if you're doing prints with multiple colors, and it'll save you time. Like, you won't have to very carefully try and put ink on certain sections of the block. You could literally just cut it out, do the layers that are going to be like black or whatever, and then reinsert the other portion that you've put a different color on. So they're really good for multi-color prints. I'm going to start in 10 minutes going over the actual printing part. Make those a little thinner. So after Spirit Week, our next big event, not, aside from just our monthly craft-alongs, and then, obviously the haunted brunches for the Secret Society folks, and then we've got the Academy Group project is starting up next month. Make sure you get the information for that. If you haven't participated in that project yet, I definitely suggest you take a look back at some of those live streams to kind of catch you up on what's going on. We are going to do a recap as the first session. Obviously, we were gone for like a year or so, or whatever the case was. And that's where we're covering our super secret group project that everyone gets to participate. That's in that Academy position. And then we've got those, and then the next biggest annual event is going to be Summer Ween. So Society folks, you need to be thinking about specifics you want to do for that. Go back and watch the last couple of Summer Weens. We did that crazy video where all of you guys did that little collaborative portion where you guys sent in ribbons and we put it in a time capsule. You guys think about if you want to do something like that. Think about if you guys liked the storytelling. Oh gosh, that was crazy. The live story. We picked a winner for the storytelling contest, and then I read it live. Dramatically, I should put as well. If you guys liked that, we'll do that again. And then we had the Choose Your Own Adventure, which was the first time doing that. That was quite an undertaking, but I'd be willing to do it again if you guys liked it. And then following Summerween will be Trick or Treat. That happens September 1st is when we spin the wheel, and then everyone has till Halloween to get their tricks or treats out. Oh, you did like the Choose Your Own Adventure? Okay. I didn't know. It was an odd one. The actual doing of it was crazy. I guess I should have been on that one clearer on the rules. Everyone has to agree on an action, otherwise no action happens. We had that standstill, and I was like, somebody choose what we do. And of course, you know, those are public events. The trick or treat is not going to be public, obviously, for obvious reasons. We want to make sure that everyone gets their trick or treat and not stiffed by someone. But it's trick or treat. And then we have the Yule Ball after that. And that's where the big prizes come. All the people who don't show up for Yule Ball, man, if you're going to show up for anything, that would be the one to come to. It's open to the public, but only folks in any kind of tier. Doesn't matter what level. Only folks that are subscribed will get to participate for the prizes. Because shipping and handling ain't cheap these days. It just went up, and I was like, no. Just in time for me to start back up needing to ship stuff. But I think everybody got their wild cards. Except for the folks overseas. I have no idea how long that's going to take. Alright, so I'll keep whittling away, but you can see the resemblance here. Would have helped if I had done my regular method, which would be the laser printer transfer. Be a little easier because I know where I was going with everything. But as you can see, it's coming along. I'll keep working on it. I might even make a stationery set if it turns out good enough, and then might be a giveaway or something if it looks good. All right, let's get into the printing process of this. Clear this off because you do want to have a fairly clean work surface. You don't want any bits stuck in your ink. All right, this portion is going to require a couple items. I honestly do not like this particular inking pad, but it's all I got right now. Just a plain acrylic sheet is nice, plexiglass or whatever, but it's at an angle and it's got a little thing so the brayer won't go all over my workspace, so I'm just going to use it. Essentially, you need a hard surface that you can roll the ink out really thin. Okay, that's your pad. And then you got braying tools, just a hard rubber roller essentially. If your work is really small, obviously you don't need to ink in a massive brayer, but a wider brayer does help not get ink into the spaces you don't want. So if you're using a small one, say for instance on this, it's very easy for me to start touching the sections that I don't want the ink on. So a wider tool doesn't reach into those little spaces, if that makes sense to you guys. So the first thing that we're going to do is obviously put this paint away before I make another catastrophe. And I'm just going to make one of those spinners to show you guys how that's done. There's a couple types of ink. There are oil-based inks, which is essentially, you know, oil paint. It does take a lot longer to dry, but it will not run or bleed if a little bit of water gets on it. The speedball paints, which is probably what you're going to find in most craft stores, these are water-soluble acrylic paints, or acrylic inks, and water-based inks, and they will bleed or run. So after you use these, you do need to spray your work with an affixative. Otherwise, it is very sensitive to water. So I am going to use those though for this particular reason, because the cleanup's easier. That's the drawback to the oil-based. You have to use solvents to, you know, make it thin and get rid of it, toxic waste and all that stuff. But these are easy cleanup oils. So this is like a hybrid, and these are by Cranfield. These are my favorite. We got red and black, and I love these. They do clean up with soap and water. It's not just a matter of like, you have to actually apply the soap, rub it around, and then the water kind of situation. But these are great. I definitely suggest these. And I can't remember if I put these in the list. I'm pretty sure I did, that these are the inks that I would use. But just to make my cleanup easy tonight, I'm going to go ahead and use the water base. Let me put these somewhere. All right, first I'm going to start out with a little dab of red. You do not need a ton of this stuff, especially since I'm only doing one. All right, and the whole goal, wipe my brayer off with all these little things. The whole goal is to mix this paint and get that middle section super smoothed out. So you're just gonna keep rolling until, oh, see? I got chunkies. We don't want that. I picked up some chunkies. Trying not to get my studio dirty. Make sure your work area is clean before you move on to this step. Otherwise, you're going to have these kind of issues. But as you can see, it cleans up really easily because it's water soluble. Wipe that down. Where is it? All right, we're just going to keep going. Also, mix up your inks in case it was chunky from there. Just put a little dab. It's chunky, I'm going to keep going. All right, see, smoothing out much better. You're going to see a bunch of peaks. That means it's too much. You need to spread it out until it's nice and smooth and evenly coating your brayer. And you want to make sure you're applying even pressure with the tool. Don't push, like when you're pushing it, don't push too hard. All right, so when you think you're good, set that aside. Just swap places here. I'm gonna ink this. Make sure you don't get ink where you don't want it. I might have ink where I don't want it, but not gonna. We're doing it live. All right. Hopefully that looks good. All right, so I'm gonna grab my item here. It's hard to line up because it's not near my face. All right, and I already got my other tool dirty, so I'm just gonna rub this around. Hopefully I don't have, we'll use the back of my sweater just in case my gloves had ink on it. You need to rub it evenly. You can use an expensive press if you want, but the thing is, by using your thumb, you're putting too much pressure probably into spots you don't want. Just make sure you got even pressure going. And I didn't put enough ink on it. Let's put some more on there. That or I didn't press hard enough. All right, that looks juicier. I'm getting a little ink around the edges there, so I gotta make sure I don't touch that. There we go. Let's try that again. I wish I had my rubbing tool, but I don't because I messed that up. And there you go. And then of course you'll let, if you're gonna do multiple color layers, you need to let them dry in between each. Otherwise you'll get them bleeding onto one another. But that's it in a nutshell. I do suggest maybe putting, a lot of people will put like a felt cloth over the top when they're doing the rubbing just to preserve the paper so you're not accidentally puncturing holes or putting marks on it. So you could have it on here, you put it on your block, your print or whatever. After it's inked, put a cloth over it and then you'll rub it down. That's a good thing to do. But that's essentially it. Do you guys have any questions about the process? There are tons of resources and materials online about linocut printing. It's essentially the same process for woodcut as well. And you do understand that linoleum will deteriorate over time, so don't store it in any, you know, extreme weather circumstances or temperatures. That way it'll preserve your blocks longer. But they can do multiple projects. So if you make a print, don't worry. It's not like a one-time use thing. You can get it back out after you've cleaned it really good and do it again. Hopefully I'll have this done tomorrow or something. We'll see. I got a lot going on, but I think it's gonna look pretty cool. I'm kind of tempted to do a little, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Let's just see this little bottom part. See how that looks. Piece of paper. I'm just using a Strathmore printmaking paper. Some printmaking paper is kind of obnoxiously thick, but I intend to use this for stationery, so I don't want it to be crazy. So I'm just gonna put this down on here. Give it a good rub. Oh, I need more ink. Let me put some more on there, and we'll do the other side. It's fun though. Oh, and that's the other thing about the water-based ink. If you have it on your pad for too long, it dries up. So you do have to apply or clean your pad off regularly, because it'll dry on there and you're applying half-dried ink. So that's the other drawback. Rip that off so I don't get that on my clothes. Yeah, the Speedball inks, they're good in a pinch, but they're not my favorite. Pretty cool. That's so fun. On my way to having some custom Mothman stationery. Super fun. I hope you guys had fun with this one. Like I said, the craft-alongs and yeah, the craft-alongs are pretty much public going forward, so just invite anyone and everyone, and we'll keep this thing going as long as we can. Does anyone have any questions or want any tips or pointers on anything to do with the Linocut print project we're working on right now? I think it looks so cool. So fun. Yeah, the ink is like already dry on here, I'm telling you. There's no sheen to it. The water base dries very fast. No questions? That or there's a delay. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining me. Tomorrow we have movie night, so make sure you RSVP for that so you can get your ride or die point we're watching Tremors. I can't remember what time it starts at. You would think I would after I made 1,000 posts about it. Just make sure you look at the event details. It'll be in Discord. We'll be in the public chat channel, and I'll just be sharing the movie. So just bring some snacks and a spooky attitude, and we'll watch Kevin Bacon get eaten by death worms. So at least that's what I think is happening in there. Never seen it, so hopefully you guys will join me there. I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.